Bitter criticism night with Mr. Tommy. Tommy, what's up? Tommy! Uh, it's okay. It's all fine. There's no trouble around. No trouble at all. Woohoo! Bitter criticism. Screaming with the buses. Scream with the trucks. Uh, Bitter criticism. Screaming with the trucks. Night, as usual. Here we are in the road, screaming with the buses. Competing, screaming, yeah, screamings. Screaming quests. Screaming quests. I guess it's fine there. Could be a little more for here. Oh, yeah. Screaming quest. Screaming with the trucks. I scream louder. I scream even louder. I guess I'm going to. I guess I'm going to reach Russia Today. Yeah, Russia Today again because it's a channel on YouTube, and there's more about YouTube cancellation, about West cancellation. Do you want to see? When you see this, look. The camera will fall anytime soon because of the wind. But by now, September 6th, Home World News. YouTube bans alleged Russian-linked right-wing channels. I don't know what to say about this because people say Vladimir Putin is a right-wing politician. So right wing, in my opinion, is not democratic. So if YouTube is, are you following my argument? If right wing is not democratic, what about YouTube censoring right wing? Is YouTube democratic? I lost myself here. So it's a complex world. The video hosting site has terminated several accounts, including Tenet Medias. Tenet, I don't know this channel. Tenet Medias. I guess Russia Today will remain blocked forever on YouTube. That's what. That's what Russia doesn't understand. I bet the West will cancel Russia forever. That's sad for Russia because right now the Russian people, they are crazy. Like, imagine how good the West is doing. At least not in Chile. Not in Chile. There's just poverty and suicides. Infanticides, all kind of homicides right here in Chile. YouTube has removed 5 right-wing political channels linked to what the U.S. Department of Justice (DOJ) claims is a Russian effort to sow division in America and influence its domestic landscape. What? The right-wing. Yeah, you know, honestly, despite reading Russia Today, I don't know details about Russian domestic politics because, in a simple view, Russia Today is from the left. But if Vladimir Putin is the right wing in Russia, I'm completely lost about. Political landscape, political trends in Russia. In a statement cited by the Washington Post on Thursday, the Google-owned video hosting service said it has terminated the accounts of the Tenet Media Company and 4 other entities linked to conservative commentator Lawrence Chan in a bid to combat coordinated influence operations. The move comes after the DOJ on Wednesday charged two Russian identified as Russia Today employees with violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act (FARA), money laundering, and illegally funneling millions of dollars to US-based entities to promote a so-called Russian narrative on various politically charged issues. While the DOJ did not directly name the company, which was allegedly involved in those activities, saying only that it was based in Tennessee and had posted around 2,000 videos since its launch in November 2023. It's not me, maybe I have some like 2,000 videos, but I'm not right wing. I'm Trotskyist, but I guess I'm delusioned. I'm 100% delusioned on Trotskyism. I know I will never see social revolution because I'm getting blind. No, because it will never happen. My opinion, people is so dumb, so stupid. They doesn't understand capitalism. They are miserable. They live miserable lives. They believe in stock market. They are completely garbage. These people on capitalism. So Tennessee, saying only that it was based in Tennessee and had posted around 2,000 videos since its launch in November 2023. Observers and social media users believe that the indictment refers to Tenet Media. The company was founded by Chen and her husband, Liam Donovan, in early... I don't know, I'm not sure if Chen is gay or is a woman. His name is Chen something. I guess it's a Chinese name. Anyway, I'm struggling with Chinese language in Duolingo. I cannot make I cannot finish the... I will show you later. I will show you next. The company was founded by Chen and her husband, Liam Donovan, in early 2022 and often features right-wing influencers that provide commentary on such topics as immigration, inflation, and foreign policy. Following the indictment, conservative outlet Blaze Media said, as quoted by Semaphore, that it had terminated a contract with Chen, who misdescribed it as an independent contractor, without providing an explanation for the move. In a separate development, the U.S. Treasury Department on Wednesday sanctioned several Russian nationals, including Russia Today editor-in-chief Margarita Simonian, a beautiful baby, over alleged efforts to influence the U.S. election. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has denounced the new restrictions, arguing that the move, quote, testifies to the irreversible degradation of the democratic state in the United States and its transformation into a totalitarian neoliberal dictatorship. 100%, Maria Zakharova is doing just fine now. I'll tell you more. Right here in Chile, there's just suicidal. There's just bus drivers, crazy bus drivers, antisocial bus drivers driving like crazy. 100 kilometers per hour on the city. That's the whole truth. Don't believe me? Look, I will show you. I will show you. This is the whole truth about capitalism. I'll show you everything. Look, I will show you this terrible reality in global south. Look at this. Look. Just 1 second. I'm not sure if you can see this. This is a suicide. Can you see? Well, that says they are complaining about improvements on a public university after the suicide of a medical student, of a medicine student. Medical student suiciding. You may say that's normal, but right here in Chile it's just too much, you know? My opinion is just too much. There's a lot of suicide. There's a movie featuring how the Chilean Chilean kids they believe in sects. They believe in universe energy. They believe in the universe energy. They believe in spirits, you know, and they take drugs in these sects and they make love and they go really, really crazy. And that's sad because there's no options, there's no cultural options in Chile. And those kids, they ended up believing in the universe energy, and they ended up committing infanticides. That was happening outside Russia. You better believe me. Just 1 second. I'm trying to find something about. Maybe they erased it. Maybe they took off this news, but there was a news that bus drivers, they are driving extremely fast inside the city because they need money, you know. And well, this is a failure, a complete failure from. Well, I couldn't find it. I still trying to find it. What about the bus drivers? Just 1 second. So as I was saying, Chile is the most neoliberal country in history. We have a lot of problems. If you are listening to me, nobody listens to this show, but Russia is not doing so bad, you know. Russia should, based on Chilean experience, Russia should take this bad experience from Chile and just go back to communism. For sure, I mean it. Forget about all garbage. People are suiciding in Chile. People are going crazy and committing infanticide. People are really, really crazy in Chile. And you may say, oh, this is just a Chilean problem. Well, maybe. Maybe it's a complex problem, but I guess this happened all over the place in South Korea, Chile, you know, all neoliberal country. Well, I couldn't find the news about the crazy drivers. But anyway, I will just move on to Russia Today, to another Russia Today, for more on Russia Today. So there's a lot of more news. There's an interesting news from Russia from the war, from the invasion. Kursk Gambit, September 5, 2024, home Russia and former Soviet Union. Kursk Gambit, how Ukraine's ambitious attack has led it to the brink of military disaster. There's no name, you know. I guess Timur Fomenko disappeared because he's afraid of prosecutions, just like this babe, editor-in-chief. The West is prosecuting the editor-in-chief, understand? So it's a tricky business. I feel fine by myself because somehow nobody watched this show. I'm just practicing my English, you know. I try to learn Chinese now, but it's getting very, very complicated. I will show you. I will show you how difficult it is to advance it, to keep going in the Chinese course on Duolingo. Look, I'm just in the, I don't know where I am, in the 6th use adverbs of frequency. That's where I am on Duolingo, on Chinese Duolingo course, and I will show you how difficult it is. It's not being a picnic. Oh, I have no options. Look, you know, this is not that bad. Well, the practice to earn hearts is not that bad. I'm not going to do now, but then this use of adverbs, adverbs saying is very hard. You know, I can go further. You know what I'm going to what I'm thinking to do? I'm going downtown to find a Chinese. Yeah, you know, I will say the Chinese, hello. I having a really bad time. Maybe I will buy something on some facility shopping on facility store, and I'll say, hello, beautiful lady. Hello, Chinese girl. Do you know that song from David Bowie? Well, and then, you know, I'm having a really bad time. You know, I will ask her to pass me. You know, otherwise I will never pass this adverb stance. Anyway, Kursk Gambit, how Ukraine's ambitious attack has led it to the brink of military disaster. Kiev's surprise assault has failed to change the course of the conflict, with Moscow's troops rapidly advancing in Donbass. While Ukraine was making strides in Kursk region last month, Russian forces were intensifying their advance in the Donetsk People's Republic, DPR. Reports from Russian military correspondents and Western journalists indicate that the Ukrainian army has lost numerous settlements in recent weeks, with some surrendered almost without resistance. Military correspondent Yuri Kotenok noted that in recent weeks, Russian forces have captured several villages, including the city of Novogrodovka, which had a population of around 15,000 before the conflict began. Fighting is now focused in the city of Toretsk, formerly Dzerzinsk, and near Selidovo. Overall, Ukraine lost some Ukraine lost more than 400 square kilometers just in August, exceeding the territorial advancements made by Russian forces throughout most of 2023. Correspondent Mikhail Zvinchuk characterized the situation as an operational crisis for the armed forces of Ukraine, AFU, while referring to the achievements of the Russian military as significant. Both Western media and Ukrainian officials have acknowledged Russia's gains. General Alexander Sursky, the commander of the AFU, recognized the numerical superiority of Russian forces in Donbass and described the situation as difficult. Vladimir Zelensky claimed that the offensive of the border with Russia's Kursk region helped slow the progress of Russian troops. However, this assertion was challenged by Russian President Vladimir Putin. On September 2nd, during a lesson at a school in Tuva, he stated that the AFU's provocation had failed and that Russian advances were being measured in square kilometers. So what exactly happened? How did these developments lead to the current predicament? And most importantly, what will be the outcome of Ukraine's bold maneuvers? The war had not changed until prior to August 2024. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine resembled a war of attrition. Russia will launch attacks along various sections of the extensive front line, probing for weaknesses in the Ukrainian defenses, while the AFU fought back as best they could. This scenario was reminiscent of the trench warfare during World War I, where battles were often waged for control of inconsequential settlements. This pattern persisted for a considerable time, but is proved unsustainable for Ukraine in the long run. The fighting primarily took place in areas that Kiev claims as its own, with occasional drone strikes targeting civilian infrastructure within territories recognized as part of Russia by the international community. Ukraine endured significant human losses and struggled to replenish its forces, suffering severe economic damage along the way. While Russia faced similar challenges, the weaker side typically bears the brunt of prolonged conflict. Moreover, should Moscow deliver a decisive blow, the consequences could be catastrophic for Ukraine, resulting in higher casualties and more desperation. Consequently, the Ukrainian leadership, particularly General Sursky, sought strategy to disrupt the status quo. In early August, Kiev executed a bold and rapid maneuver. Prior to this, the border between Russia and Ukraine, from Bryansk in the west to Belgorod in the east, was regarded as a remote area detached from the main conflict. Small reconnaissance and sabotage teams occasionally crossed for raids, and there were sporadic light UAV strikes, but nothing substantial. In 2023, for the first time, Ukrainian-controlled forces, largely groups assembled from neo-Nazis who had fled Russia, attempt to shift the dynamics of the conflict by launching attacks into Russia's Belgorod region, the nearest area to active hostilities. However, the raids were chaotic, bloody, and largely unsuccessful. A major offensive attempt by the AFU in the spring of 2024 ended in disaster. Ukrainian mechanized units were decimated by Russian missile and artillery fire before even reaching the front lines. I just forgot what I will say. You know, I remember. It's very crazy how Ukrainian Nazis killing Russian people. They think somehow Ukrainian people they are more blonde or something. You know, how Ukrainian people they think they are more Aryan. Okay, understand, more Nazi than Russians. They are the same people, you know. Anyway, undeterred, the Russian command revisit the concept of bringing the fight to Russian soil, but this time with far better preparation. To be fair, the AFU faced limited options. A direct confrontation in Donbass will likely yield disastrous outcomes for Ukraine over time. Western military support has diminished, making it increasingly difficult to mobilize new recruits. Gradually, the front began to falter. The Ukrainian leader learned from their earlier missteps and planned their operation much more effectively this time around. What were the Ukrainians trying to achieve? While the true objectives of Ukraine's operation in Kursk region can be definitely gleaned from official statements, it's reasonable to enforce several key aims. First and foremost, the Ukrainians sought to temporarily halt Russia's offensive in Donbass and stabilize the front. To achieve this, they needed to seize the strategic initiative, even if only for a short time. Reinforcing Donbass with more brigades that could easily be targeted by Russian forces will have been counterproductive. New units will likely suffer the same fate as those before them. Consequently, the AFU aimed to attack Russian troops at a perceived weak point, compelling Russia to divert its resources ideally away from Donbass. Secondly, capturing territory that is internationally recognized as Russian was intended to deliver a significant psychological blow to the civil society. The broader area was primarily defended by conscripts, and public sentiment in Russia is generally opposed to sending young men aged 18-20 into combat. Given the sensitivity around casualties among this demographic, the majority of servicemen engaged in the Ukraine operation are volunteers or professional military personnel contracted by the Ministry of Defense. General Syrskyi believed that a successful Ukrainian offensive could profoundly impact domestic opinion in Russia. Thirdly, the Kursk nuclear power plant located in Kurchatov plays a vital role in Russia's entire energy infrastructure. If Ukraine had been able to capture this facility, it would have enhanced its bargaining position in any future negotiations, and in general could strongly pressure Russia toward negotiations. With the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant currently under Russian control, seizing the Kursk NPP could have provided Ukraine with leverage. Lastly, taking significant Russian territory could have served as valuable currency in any potential negotiations. Ideally, this could involve capturing major populated areas, but any substantial land gain will have sufficed. This likely constituted Ukraine's goals when it initiated its incursion into Kursk region on August 6. A sizable contingent was assembled for this operation, notable not just for its strength in numbers but also for its quality. This was 1 month ago. This force included the replenished 80 Airborne Assault Brigade, along with the 22nd and 88 Mechanized Brigades, equipped with a robust artillery contingent and an array of Western equipment, including precision-guided HIMARS systems and various armored vehicles. These units stood in stark contrast to the beleaguered Ukrainian infantry in Donbass, which had been enduring relentless assaults. As a result, the Donbass front became a secondary priority for Kiev. The Ukrainian command accepted the reality that reinforcements for the Kursk operation would come at the expense of manpower and equipment in the main theater of conflict. Throughout the war, many Ukrainian units had lost their mechanized capabilities, often lacking tanks and armored personnel carriers, relying instead on civilian vehicles and FPV drones rather than traditional artillery. You know, I realized last year that in this Russian conflict, this war is just like that. You know, if you have anything, scooters, cars, bicycles, you will use, you know, because proper tanks, they are already destroyed. So war is terrible, you know. War is a destruction force. You will end up with nothing. Just regular cars, you know, regular cars fighting. Throughout the war, many Ukrainian units had lost their mechanized capabilities and often lacking tanks and armored personnel carriers, relying instead on civilian vehicles and FPV drones rather than traditional artillery. Sursky was taking a significant gamble that could have paid off enormously if it had succeeded. However, the consequences for Donbass could have proven disastrous. The progress of the Ukrainian offensive. Russia's military had largely overlooked the Kursk area, although Russian generals were theoretically aware of its vulnerabilities. The lack of major battles there over 2 years of war had led to a false sense of security. The border was guarded by small detachments of conscripts and border guards, creating a weak defense along the extensive frontier. There were virtually no reserve position behind these forces. As a result, the Ukrainian offensive that began on the night of August 6 unfolded successfully. The Ukrainian army managed to keep preparations under wrap, moving most of its forces to the border just before the attack, just catching the Russian military off guard. Southwest of Zutsa, a town with a pre-war population of around 5,000, Ukrainian strikes units crossed the frontier, armed primarily with light weapons. Russian border troops put up a desperate fight but were ultimately overwhelmed. The AFU utilized special tools to navigate minefields, while mechanized groups with heavy armor targeted fortified positions. Several isolated Russian garrisons found themselves surrounded and ultimately surrendered, resulting in the capture of nearly 300 soldiers, a significant blow to Russia, Following this, Ukrainian troops maneuver rapidly, aiming to penetrate deep into Russian territory. Small mechanized units in light armored vehicles led the charge, causing chaos and allowing AFU forces to advance quickly into Kursk region. These soldiers, there's Nazi soldiers from Ukraine, they were absolutely Nazi. There's register about these Nazi symbols on them. They believe they will win. They thought they will taking revenge from Hitler. Anyway, however, no military operation unfolds exactly as planned. For the Russians, a logical response was to deploy their most mobile forces, aviation, tactical missiles and drone units, to Kursk. This led to some bizarre situations, such as a tactical missiles shrinking Ukrainian units advancing in armored vehicles, akin to using a cannon against sparrows. The primary challenge for Russian troops was a shortage of infantry. Units were hastily pulled from quieter sections of the front, but it took time to reinforcement to reach the new battlefield. The AFU achieved a significant tactical victory by capturing the city of Sutsa by August 12th. As civilians attempt to flee, they came under fire. To the northwest, Ukrainian troops advanced toward Korenevo, aiming for the town of Rilsk, but encountered organized resistance that halted their progress. In the north, the AFU pushed 25 kilometers into Russian territory, reaching roughly halfway to Lvov and nearing Kurchatov home to the Kursk nuclear power plant. The external impact of the Russian offensive was notable. At least 2,000 Russian citizens became stranded in occupied territory as Sucha and surrounding villages fell to the AFU. Yet the tangible benefits of this success from the Ukrainian army remained uncertain. Operation failure. Russian troops soon regrouped near Kursk. The Ukrainians scored another tactical achievement by targeting a moving Russian military column with a Western-made missile. However, the situation shifted with the arrival of Russia's 810th Guard Naval Infantry Brigade, a highly skilled unit known for its elite status and strong morale. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian forces that had breached into Ukrainian territory began to suffer increasing losses. Ambushes on the roads and UAV strikes made the survival extremely challenging for Ukrainian forces, leading to destruction of several advanced units by the Russian army. A striking video capturing the alienation of a Ukrainian company near the village of Giri gained significant attention online. The Ukrainian column fell victim to a coordinated infantry ambush supported by UAV attacks. Left without equipment, Ukrainian soldiers faced a choice: either flee through the forest to rejoin the comrades or surrender. At this juncture, Ukrainian commanders had to evaluate their next steps. The city of Kurchatov and its nuclear power plant lay far ahead and were proving difficult to reach. While the AFU had captured a number of settlements, they were mostly small villages and had been largely evacuated. Additionally, Russian forces managed to destroy part of the AFU's artillery contingent, including at least three HIMARS systems, and heavy aircraft missile batteries, complicating the raid further. Meanwhile, the Russians have deployed fresh reinforcements to the battlefield, including the renowned 56th Guards Air Assault Regiment. The AFU also introduced new units to the fight, evidenced by the destruction of a British Challenger tank, indicating the presence of the 47 mechanized brigade equipped with these vehicles. Despite the setbacks, Ukrainian forces remained optimistic, striving to solidify the foothold. Their aim was not only to push deeper into Russian territory, but also to establish a broader presence in the area around the Seine River, which flows west of the newly formed front, to drive Russian troops back across the river. Ukraine targeted and destroyed several bridges. However, the Russians quickly established pontoon crossings, allowing the fighting to continue unabated. Overall, Ukrainian forces achieved notable tactical success, but this did not translate into operational gains. Russian commanders managed to deploy sufficient troops to Kursk region to slow the enemy's advance. Though it wasn't completely halted, the fighting is far from over. Ukrainian troops may still be able to expand their control and capture additional villages, likely moving westward to occupied areas in front of the same river. However, the overall strategic purpose of these clashes remains unclear. It seems both sides have reverted to head-on combat. Their preferred approach. The AFU certainly made a bold attempt to shift the dynamics of the conflict. In Russia, the psychological impact of the AFU's operation turned out to be quite different from what Ukraine had anticipated. Perhaps even the opposite. The attack on Kursk did not dampen morale in Russia. Instead, it sparked a renewed wave of military volunteers, and people rallied to provide significant assistance to refugees while continuing to support the military. Conscription units that previously could not serve outside internationally recognized Russian territory were no longer restricted from engaging in combat. This shift led much of Russian society to shift its stance on deploying young soldiers in battle. From a military strategy perspective, the Ukrainian command effectively activated new combat units within the Russian army. The primary challenge for the Ukrainian leadership is that while their best reserves become their mired in battles near Kursk, the situation on the broader battlefield remains largely unchanged. Where the real problems begin, the Donbas region, an industrial hub, remains the focal point of military operations in this conflict. Throughout 2024, Russian forces gradually pushed from one mining village to another, capturing factory towns along the way. However, in recent months, their offensive has gained momentum. They have taken the small town of New York, a target they had previously struggled to secure, and are now advancing toward Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk, located in the southwest of the Donbas region, is a crucial logistics center for Ukrainian troops, enabling further advances in multiple directions. From there, Russian forces could move north toward the sprawling urban areas around Kramatorsk, west towards the significant industrial city of Dnipropetrovsk, known as Dnepr in Ukraine, or pushed south, driving Ukrainian forces back. It's no wonder the Russians are eager to capture Pokrovsk. The challenge lies in the fact that Ukrainian forces have expended many of their key reserves near Kursk, raising doubts about who will defend the city. Russian forces may soon launch a concerted assault on Pokrovsk. Currently, the city is effectively sealed off. Businesses have closed, and movement in and out of the area is heavily restricted. Tensions have been escalating for Russian forces in the DPR, as elite brigades have been worn down by prolonged fighting. Notably, the pace of the Russian advance quickened after Kiev redirected its top troops from the DPR to mount an offensive in Kursk. Bild journalist Julian Gropke has also raised concerns about the situation, noting that the AFU lacks significant defenses west of Selidovo and Toretsk. Additionally, he has reported that Russian forces have made progress along the southern front of the DPR, particularly near the city of Ugledar. Ongoing since 2022, the battle for this critical stronghold could see the AFU losing control entirely. Just more 4 paragraphs. To the south, Russian troops launched an attack on the flank of the Ukrainian group near Karlovka. This series of developments suggests that the AFU could either be encircled or forced to retreat, potentially abandoning heavy weaponry in the process. Diverting forces to Kursk has resulted in a severe crisis for the Ukrainians and in Donbass, where reserves are running thin. Meanwhile, Russian troops have continued their operations in the area without interruption. Consequently, the AFU has had to fill gaps with police battalions and even deploy drone pilots to the front lines. It's important not to underestimate Ukrainian commanders. The AFU may still possess some reserves. However, much will depend on the quality and quantity of these forces. The Ukrainian military has gone all in on its effort to make gains away from the main theater of operations. In response to the events near Kursk, Russia has adopted a more measured approach, supporting light units composed of conscripts and lower quality battalions with a few elite formations while maintaining their focus on Donbass. Until August 2024, both sides operated with extreme caution, aware that the other might make unexpected moves and striving to avoid unnecessary risks. However, this cautious strategy has clearly shifted. Yeah. This was by Roman Shumov, a Russian historian focused on conflicts and international politics. Maybe Roman Shumov is afraid of people talking his name. You know, I completely blow up the time here, so